Every Friday from 3:05 to 4 on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM. It's the Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto. Talking local sports every Friday. Getting you ready for the weekend and what lies ahead. High school sports, UConn, ECSU, and more. The Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto is brought to you by your local Dunkin' stores. Route 32 South Windham, 1015 Main Street, Willimantic, 1575 West Main Street, and 407 Jackson Street. The Friday Sports Scene. Now, here's Keith C. Rice and Jan Koivisto.
Thank you, Eddie Bishop. Here we go for December. We're in December. The December 5th edition of the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene on 14 WILI, 95.3 FM. And the WILI Radio YouTube channel. Look for the link probably on Monday. J. Matt Rupar, our producer extraordinaire, usually has it up sometimes over the weekend, but most likely on Monday. You can watch the show that way. So welcome in. It's December 5th. Jan Koivisto officially on his coaching hiatus. Good afternoon, Nick Erlinson.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
And we had you in here a couple weeks ago. Scared everyone half to death with that coughing attack. Hopefully, I've had a rough week health-wise. What I thought was a chest cold was actually an upper respiratory infection, but I've been on amoxicillin since Sunday night. I have my water here, but just be on call. I almost called you Matt. That's Matt over there. Be on call if I have a coughing attack, Nick.
Yep.
It's all you.
All right.
At least I was only out for a minute and a half. That was weird. Anyway, so big thanks to J. Matt Rupar, running the controls, of course. The Dunkin' Friday Sports Team will take you right up to 4 o'clock, and then, of course, every Friday at 4:05, it's Homegrown with J. Matt Rupar. And what can we expect on Homegrown on December 5th?
I got some Patty Tuitt coming up.
Oh,
that's right, yeah.
Little Patty Tuitt.
Little Patty Tuitt.
The sister of John Tuitt, who's our longtime news guy, and who's been on the Dunkin' Friday Sports Team just a couple weeks ago. So we'll get right to it. Lots to talk about. We got a UConn men's game tonight. The Huskies... hold on I know you're on the edge of your seats. They got a big one tonight, a tough one. The UConn men, ranked 5th in the country, will take on East Texas A&M at Gamble following their big win Tuesday night at Kansas. I'm being facetious. UConn, I don't know what the line is, but I imagine it's got to be like 40-something, right? So UConn takes on East Texas A&M at Gamble tonight after their big Tuesday night win in Kansas. We'll carry that game on WILI starting at 7. UConn is 7-1. Top-ranked UConn women welcoming DePaul to Stores on Sunday. It's Sue Bird Day at Gamble. That's a 1 o'clock tip at Gamble Pavilion. We'll have the game for you at 12:30 on Sunday. UConn and DePaul on WILI. UConn men's hockey plays at Merrimack tonight. UConn men's hockey plays at Merrimack. UConn women's hockey is home for Boston University. Eastern hoops. The men are 5-1. Coming off a 78-73 win in Danbury against Western Connecticut, opening up Little East Conference play the other night. Julian Sanchez from Willimantic scored 16 points, grabbed 12 rebounds in that win over Western. Next up for the men, they're in Northfield, Vermont this weekend. They'll take on Norwich University in the Norwich U Hawk Classic. And then they'll play Western New England tomorrow night at 8. Eastern women are 2-5. They beat Western Connecticut 65-59 in their LEC opener in Danbury Wednesday night. They play in the Williams College Shooting Touch Tournament tonight and tomorrow in Williamstown, Mass. Tonight they take on St. Joseph's College of Maine. NBA, Celtics starting to wake up a bit. They're now 13-9. They had some nice wins recently. Of course, held off the Knicks the other night in Boston. And of course, they beat the 3-17 Wizards last night, 146-101. Did you catch any of that?
Nah.
No need to watch that. I tell you, it might be, I hate to say this, but I was really looking forward to Celtics-Lakers tonight. But when I found out the Lakers are playing their B team, I'm a little turned off by that. LeBron is doubtful. He played last night. There's no Doncic. And there's another guy. There's 3 big gunners out for the Lakers. So it's still Celtics-Lakers.
Celtics B team's playing right now anyway.
I know, exactly. Exactly. And we'll talk a little Jason Tatum, too. We'll try and slide in a little Celtics talking during the show as well, if we have time. Bruins a 5-2 home win against St. Louis last night. NFL, the 11-2 New England Patriots, best record in football, hottest team in football, with all due respect to Denver. Pats have won 10 in a row. Denver's won 9 in a row, I believe. But Broncos are right on the Pats' tail. Pats have the bye this week after embarrassing the Giants on Monday Night Football, 33-15. Giants also on the bye. Boy, do they need it. Jets home for Miami this weekend. I'll do my quick pick a little bit later for that. And our guest today, we have Paul Martineau, good friend Paul Martineau, coach of the Wyndham High boys basketball team. We'll talk to him at 3:15. He'll give us a little season preview as the Whips open up on the road at Plainfield Tuesday evening at 5:30. Joe Zone from Channel 3. We'll talk to him at 3:35. And we'll talk little UConn men's and women's hoops with Joe as we get ready for Huskies and East Texas A&M at Gamble tonight. And then the men have Florida at Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night. And then a week from tonight in Hartford, UConn and Texas. And speaking of that, I forgot to tell our producer, Jay Marupar, that. You might already know this because I think you might have saw my Facebook post. We do have tickets to give away. So maybe before we go into the break, that might be a good time, right, Jay Marupar?
You can't give it away when we have a call because I can't do that.
No, I'm saying when we say goodbye to our first guest, the coach, before we go to the break, we'll give away a pair of tickets for UConn men against Texas, a good one. 1 week from tonight, that game is at People's Bank Arena in Hartford. So, stick around if you want to win these UConn men's tickets to see them take on the Longhorns a week from tonight in Hartford. Got a pair of tickets. Not yet. We'll do it right around 3:30. So, right around 3:30. Stick around if you want to win those UConn men's tickets. Huge thanks to our local Dunkin' stores. Hence why the show is called the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene. 4 locations in town, Route 32 in South Wyndham. Hello to my friend Caitlin, who I see almost every day in the drive-thru. Makes a great macchiato, by the way. What's your drink at Dunkin'? Oh, what do you got over there?
That's the like a white. I think it's a white chocolate swirl. That one. Yeah,
that's one of my favorites too. So I usually get the hot, but I think I'm gonna try the ice. That looks pretty good. So the toasted white.
Whatever it is. I don't
toasted
remember.
white chocolate. I should know because I usually get that. So I go to the Route 32 one. It's right down the street from where I live. Big hello to longtime friend Jerry Jose, who pretty much runs some of these local Dunkins and is a huge local sports enthusiast. So hello and thank you to Jerry. Another location, 1015 Main Street, Willimantic, 1575 West Main, and 407 Jackson Street. Thanks to our local Dunkin' stores. Be sure to check out the $6 meal deal. The new bacon jam sandwich, which I had yesterday. Oh, my God. Phenomenal. Berry sangria refreshers made primarily with green tea and lemonade. So, again, big thanks to our local Dunkin' stores. All right, here we go with the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene for this December the 5th. Getting ready to turn the corners. We get, actually, you know what, Nick? We were talking about this before the show. A lot of people do fantasy football. The fantasy football playoffs technically start this weekend, right? For most leagues? ESPN, Yahoo?
Yeah, some of them, yeah. I think we still have 2 more weeks in my league before we start.
Okay, so some leagues are different. Yeah. My playoffs started last night for my ESPN league. And so last night, I should mention the Lions beat the Cowboys 44-30. Pretty entertaining game last night. But around 5, 6 o'clock, I had my fingers crossed. I'm refreshing my phone every 5 minutes because back on Thanksgiving, Amon-Ra St. Brown put a scare into his fantasy owners when he got a high ankle sprain. And it was like the first quarter when it happened. And that pretty much screwed me last week.
He was trying to finish you off. He heard about your coughing fit, and he figured that would finish you off. So.
Good fun. So St. Brown, around 5, 6 o'clock, I'm like, come on, is he going to play or not? And then right before game time, he announced that he's active. Well, okay, he's active. How active will he be? Well, he gave me 92 yards last night, so I'll take it. My next predicament, my next dilemma is my quarterback situation. I got Justin Herbert to start Monday night. I need a quarterback. It's probably going to be a game time decision if he plays. We were just talking about this. I have Sam Darnold on the bench. Paul Martineau coming up in minutes, by the way, the Wyndham High boys basketball coach. So you think I picked up Sam Darnold off the wire, slim pickings, let me tell you. So I probably have to, if Herbert doesn't announce that he's playing Sunday, which I don't think he will at this point, I think it's going to be a Monday afternoon sort of deal, I'd probably just go ahead and start Darnold, right?
Yeah, probably that or
Doing well.
yeah, it's probably your best bet because I don't think even if you pick up his backup and wait and see, I don't know.
Well, and here's the thing too. That's true. I forget who the Chargers' backup is, but at the same time, if Herbert makes an announcement Sunday, it'll make life easier. If he's going to play,
yeah, I
probably will stay with Herbert. But if there's no decision by like Sunday before 1, I got to start Darnold.
Yeah,
I think that's what I got to do. Are we ready? We have a coach on the line.
Yeah, let me patch him through.
All right.
There you go.
Coach Paul Martineau.
How you doing?
Good. Wyndham High boys basketball coach Paul Martineau on the line. Of course, 2022 state champs. I wear that shirt proudly. Great to have you on here. I can't believe it's basketball season already. Welcome into the Duncan Friday sports scene on WILI. I got my buddy Nick Erlinson to my right here, who's in for Jan Koivisto. The show is still called Duncan Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto. But Nick is sitting in as Koivisto goes on his coaching hiatus, the Plainfield girls basketball team. But let's welcome in the Wyndham High boys basketball coach, ready for the 2025-26 season. Coach, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Ready to
Thank
go?
you
So,
for having me on.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Day
What?
one in the book. Yesterday was the first day. Very rigorous, of course. I'd be lying if I told you that there was a few guys that had to visit the garbage can.
Now wait, they don't call them suicides anymore, right? Is there a new name for it? What is that?
Quarter courts.
Quarter courts, right?
We do ladders. We do a lot of different stuff. We try to incorporate a lot of using the basketball as well in our conditioning. So
you're basically how long have you guys been practicing so far?
Yesterday was the first day.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? And your season opener is Tuesday night, right?
No, we have a scrimmage Tuesday.
Oh, that's a scrimmage. I kept thinking, when is the season officially open?
That would be. Let me check. I think because that's the 17th.
I saw Tuesday the 9th at Plainfield, but that's a scrimmage. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's a scrimmage. Yep.
Okay, so you think the 17th, right? Actually, I just had this. Yeah, I only see the 9th here. I don't think I. Oh wait, here we go. You said. Who do you open up against? The 18th, against Stonington, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right, so December the 18th is the season opener. Well, let's tell us about your team. Underclass, you got a young, a little experience. Tell us about. I remember you ran into you last year during basketball season. It was kind of you were going through a lot of growing pains, right?
Yeah, I mean, with our schedule, which is always tough. It's quite a battle each night we play, even our non-conference schedule. But this year we're relatively young. We have 3 players with varsity experience: junior Andon Gonzalez, senior Alexander Pomo, and junior Francisco Alvarado. But we do have a lot of athletes that have come up through our JV program that hopefully are ready to step up and face the challenge of varsity basketball.
So you think you could see a little more depth this year, unlike last year, correct?
Well, it's going to be different because it's going to be inexperienced depth. But we have some players. We're looking forward to seeing who fits in what role to play. They'll play for us. We like I said, we only have 3 guys that have touched the varsity floor, so it's going to be some growing pains at first. But it's a grind. It's the longest season of the year, the winter season. 20-game schedule plus league playoffs, and then hopefully the state playoffs. So it's a process. It's going to take a while. They don't really give us a whole heck of a lot of time to practice before our first game, but we'll be ready.
Hey, Coach. Since the girls' team made the state championship last year, is there a lot of added pressure this year for you to do the same, or? No. I mean, in 2022 when we won the state championship, that was the first one in 81 years. So hopefully it's not 81 more years. Yeah, hopefully not.
But each year that's your goal is to win your division, win your conference tournament, and get to the state tournament, and let the cards fall where they may. I mean, anything can happen. The year that we won it, we thought we were going to face a different team in the finals, and there was an upset, and we still faced a very formidable foe, and but in SMSA, but. Anything can happen when you get into a tournament, which is fun. It's a fun atmosphere. But right now our focus is on getting prepared and for our first game. And we have 3 scrimmages, so each year is a different cast of characters, and this year like I said, we don't have a lot of guys that have played varsity basketball, but we do have a very athletic group, and hopefully we'll see what happens.
Wyndham High Boys' basketball coach Paul Martineau with us here on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene on WILI. So, as Coach just mentioned, 3 scrimmages coming up starting Tuesday evening at Plainfield. And it looks like you got one, all 3 scrimmages on the road, if I'm not mistaken, at Ram and then at East Hampton, huh?
Yes, sir.
So, what's? I know you'd like to see all your players step up, sir. What's one thing you're really expecting from a certain player this year? That who would you peg as your leader, pretty much at this point? I know it's very early, but
I have to say, honestly, Andon Gonzalez, who's a junior, he's already started for 2 years at varsity for us. He's our guard. He's a leader. He's on his way to having a very successful career. He's scored a lot of points for us in 2 years, and he's the guy. He's kind of the guy that makes us run. We go through him, but can't win with just one guy. So we have a couple other guys that have stepped up at the varsity level, and I'm pretty confident in the other guys that we have from the JV level. Finally getting their chance, and they're going to have an opportunity to prove themselves. And that all happens when we scrimmage and in practice, see how they develop. But I have to say, Andon definitely is our guy.
You said he was a junior, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Coach. What with having such a young team, what is the biggest challenge that you would usually have getting them to adjust to being on the varsity level?
Well, I've always said for 17 years or whatever, I've been coaching, not at the varsity level, obviously, but the game speeds up each level. When I was the freshman coach, I used to tell my freshman kids, when you have the opportunity to play JV, it's a lot faster than freshman. And when you play JV, the game is sped up more at the varsity level. So I think the young guys are going to have to catch on really quick how fast the game is at the varsity level. And, obviously our principles and our offense and defense and, these kids have, used it in the JV level, but not quite as effectively as we have at the varsity level. So kind of getting them all in sync is going to be something we're going to have to work on.
How about shooting the 3, Coach? Is that something you have been implementing into your offense since you've been coaching at the varsity level? Hey, they're all chucking and ducking. NBA, college. I mean, is it trickle down to high school too, or what?
Oh yeah. I'm not a big fan. I'm a fan of the 3-point shot, but it depends on who's taking it. So we try to make sure that we get good shots. That we don't force. And there's some guys that I tell you can't shoot that shot for us.
Now, do the kids at that age who probably watch NBA in college and see that style of play, how do you you as the coach gotta keep that under control, right? Because they see their idols like a Jaylen Brown or I don't know Jason Tatum or Steph Curry, just gunning away. And let's face it, that's the way the style of play has been. Personally, as a sports fan, it's fun at times, but it gets incredibly boring for someone who's grew up in the 80s watching the Celtics and it's like an art form, that kind of offense. But going back to the kids of today, they see their idols, gunning threes. I'm sure that's what they want to do, right, Coach?
Yeah, well, I always tell them that those guys that you just mentioned started out like they did, and they weren't as good as they are now, and they had to be more fundamental as younger players. So, personally, myself, the 3-point shot has its purpose and its place. I don't particularly care to come down and shoot 35 of them a game. So our offense is kind of geared up to be kind of spread out and a lot of movement and off-ball movement. So hopefully there's guys that, will catch on with what we're doing as far as movement, because we don't want to be stagnant and just stand around the 3-point line, clapping our hands to catch the ball and shoot. That's something that we won't tolerate. So It's something that we have to work on. We do have some shooters, but unfortunately, like you said, everybody thinks that they can shoot threes, and unfortunately, that's not accurate. So that's just something we have to keep an eye on.
How was the free throw shooting last year? And that's obviously a key ingredient you'll be working on, right?
Yeah, we pretty much have been a pretty decent free. Actually, our state championship year. Excuse me. Our state championship year, we actually didn't shoot lights out from the free throw line, but we shoot a lot of free throws. Once the team is picked, and we try to shoot 25, 50 a practice if we can, and that's something that you definitely have to work on. I believe it's a daily thing you have to do. But our free throw percentage hasn't been really horrendous. Mm-hmm. It's kind of gotten better over the last couple of years.
Let's take a look at the schedule. Keep you for another couple of minutes. You got to, probably. Do you have practice coming up today, or did you already?
Yeah, 4:30 today. Yep.
All right, we'll keep you just for a couple more minutes here. We also got UConn men's tickets to give away in just a few here on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene. WILI, Keith and Koivisto with Nick Erlinson here. Let's run down the schedule a little. Tell every team, every opponent. Obviously, you got to take seriously. You open up against Stonington on the road. At home. Correct.
Yep.
You're home for Stonington and East Lyme, then you hit the road to Woodstock. What are some teams? Then there's NFA down the road as well. What's one team that will present a challenge on your schedule? I know obviously every opponent has their own challenge. But name some of the teams that could give you guys a difficult time this year.
Well, ECC is a battle. I mean, Stonington's a very good team. They actually beat us in 2022 at Mohegan Sun in the ECC championship. Very well coached team. They have a 6'7", 6'8" kid. East Lyme, don't really know much about them. We haven't played them in the last few years because the way the schedules are with playing the upper level teams. Fitch is a very good team. We played them. Then Woodstock. The rumor is that Woodstock possibly doesn't have a prep team anymore. So all of the foreign kids that have come to Woodstock and lived up there in the dorms could possibly be eligible to play for the regular high school team.
Wow.
So they could be very good. NFA is always good. Waterford's in our division. They're tough. New London, of course. E.O. Smith, Bacon. Griswold's going to be very good. They didn't really lose anybody, and they went to the semifinals last year of the states, I believe. St. Bernard's. Wyndham Tech's going to be really good. They have 2 all-state players over there.
Do you have Tech on the schedule with Coach Gilday?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be tough out. They're good, well coached, and they got a couple good players. So it's not a night off ever. Killingly, they're in our division. We play them twice. They're stacked. So it's going to be a battle every night, which is fun. I like the competitiveness. As they say, there's not really any cupcakes.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Quick baseball question. We'll get you out because I know you're a big Yankee fan. Is Cody Bellinger coming back to the Bronx?
I hope so.
All right, we'll see. I don't know. Baseball winter meetings actually kick off this weekend, so we shall see. It should be interesting. I know you and I will go back and forth a little about that. But, Coach, I know you got your mind on the team. Best of luck with your scrimmage coming up Tuesday night against Plainfield, and we're going to have you on here and there throughout the season. Sound good?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You got it. Take care, Coach.
You too.
All right.
Thank you.
Coach Paul Martineau, the boys, Wyndham High boys basketball team. Appreciate him coming on. As we get hard to believe we're getting ready for high school basketball already. And by the way, I should mention, speaking of high school sports, we do have UConn tickets in just a sec here. Wayne brought this to my attention. The NFA football team. Did you see what they did to top seed in New Britain in the Class LL quarterfinals? 35-0. 35-0. Huge upset. So I got hats off to NFA. Before we take a break, we have a pair of UConn men's tickets for a week from tonight. Huge game. Huskies against the Texas Longhorns. All right. At People's Bank Arena in Hartford. If you can go, or maybe somebody can go and you want to give them to somebody, that's fine. We'll take the first caller in 860-456-1400. 860-456-1400. UConn men, the fifth-ranked UConn men against Texas. Hopefully they'll still be fifth, right? Because they play Florida this week in New York. So if you want to check out the UConn men take on Texas a week from tonight in Hartford, first caller in, 860-456-1400. Nick Erlinson, am I right? I'm Keith C. Rice, the Duncan Friday Sports Scene. We got Joe Zoe from Channel 3 coming up in a few minutes to talk UConn men's and women's hoops. Hang out. And we're back on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto. Nick Erlinson in for Jag Koivisto, who's out for a few months. Best of luck to Coach K. Coach K, like Krzyzewski. He says, I think we talked about that last week. We shouldn't call him Coach K because I don't think he's no disrespect to Mike Krzyzewski. But Coach Koivisto, get ready for the Plainfield girls basketball season. I'm sure we'll talk to Jan at some point. All right, we got Joe Zone from Channel 3 in just a few minutes here to talk UConn men's and women's hoops, mainly about the men's game tonight against East Texas A&M. East Texas A&M at Gamble, 7 o'clock on WILI. Before we get to Joe, how about UConn and Kansas the other night? Big road win. The Huskies had never beaten the Jayhawks. I think it was the fifth or sixth time they played.
Yeah, on the road.
On the road. Kansas, years ago, had come to Hartford. John Tewitt and I were talking about that the other day. He reminded me that was back in, there were a couple of UConn players that were suspended. Paul Pierce was playing for Kansas. So this goes back to the mid-'90s. I vaguely remember this game. And John reminded me, and I'm sure if I don't say this right, Wayno will correct me if he's listening. UConn jumped out to a 16-0 lead. Back then it was the Civic Center. Now it's, remember, it was the XL Center. Now it's People's Bank Arena. I've been to a lot of games where the place, where the roof is getting blown off in Hartford. I can tell you about, so if we ever want to reminisce about UConn games and just magical moments, I got a few stories. But anyway, in that game in the mid-'90s, UConn jumps out to a 16-0 lead, and then Paul Pierce leads them back. And anyway, so UConn's first win ever against Kansas came the other night at the legendary Fog Allen Fieldhouse. Breakout game for the freshman Braylon Mullins, who we've been waiting to see, who Wayno thinks, he reminded me that Mullins will be in the starting lineup eventually. Question is, will he be a one-and-done like Liam McNeely? And Mullins looked good the other night, 17 points on a national stage like that.
Yeah, hopefully he sticks around. I think too many go one and done, and then they get up there and they're not ready. So
yeah. And then, of course, Eric Ryba looked great the other night, the big guy from Germany. And you know what? Another thing Wayne reminded me the other night about the other night's win, as UConn got killed on the boards in the first half. Then they out-rebounded Kansas 25-10 in the second half, so that was huge.
Yeah.
And the Huskies held on for the 61-56 win. Big win at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. And then UConn got the monkey off their back. They beat the Kansas Jayhawks. It was great to see them do it in Lawrence. Have we got Joe Zone?
Yeah, let me patch him through.
All right, thank you, J. Matt Rupar.
There you
Uh-oh, I think we lost him. We'll call him back.
go. No, I got him.
Oh, we got him? All right, stand by. Joe Zone here from Channel 3.
Weird. Okay, I'm going to call him back.
Call him back. Anyway, huge win for a road win because I going into that game, I didn't feel that confident in the first half. And Kansas went up 7 or 8 in the second half, and I was thinking, okay, here we go, lights out. And Kansas didn't have the best high school player in the country, I believe, Darren Peterson, I think that's who it was.
Yeah.
His last name's Peterson. UConn didn't have Reed. Terrace Reed's still been out.
Yeah, I got the wrong button.
But what just an amazing, what a gutty win for Dan Hurley's Huskies, no doubt about it.
All right, let's try this again.
All right, do we have Joe Zone from Channel 3?
You do?
Hey, Joe, thanks for a few minutes. Keith C. Rice here on WILI. I got my partner, Nick Erlinson, here.
Hello.
Thanks for a few minutes. We talk UConn men's and women's hoops. Let's start with the Huskies. Let's start with the Huskies. Which, the men or the women? We'll start with the UConn men. East Texas A&M at Gamble tonight. A well-deserved opponent after the nice win in Kansas the other day. Were you at that game, by the way, in Lawrence?
I was not in Kansas. In fact, I was here anchoring our sportscast. The thing I worry about tonight is, they had the big game at Kansas, and then you've got the big game Tuesday against Florida at Madison Square Garden. So you got this little game, this little bump in between against a team you should roll over. Mm-hmm. And I think they might come out a little bit slow tonight. I don't know how you can not be looking ahead to playing the defending national champs and the team that took you out of the tournament last year. So I think they may come out slow, get it going, and they should roll to a win. But don't be surprised if it takes them a while to get it going tonight.
Yeah, good point. Little letdown coming off the huge road win at Kansas, getting the monkey off their back, finally beating the Jayhawks. And you're absolutely right. Then Florida right around the corner at MSG. And then a week from tonight, it's Texas and Hartford. So, yeah, I mean, you're facing an opponent that really nobody knows anything about, a.k.a., well, we like to joke around and call it a cupcake game, which you're seeing this a lot around college hoops these days. And I'm glad, Coach Hurley and a bunch of other coaches have started to schedule more competitive opponents. It's really good for college basketball to see, because you didn't see this years ago. You'd see teams like UConn and other like Duke, and they'd schedule. You still see the weaker opponents, but you're seeing more competitive matchups in like November, December, which is a good thing, right, Joe?
Well, yeah, because teams are figuring out that if you don't play outside your league, you don't know how good anybody else is outside the league. Then you get to the tournament, and all of a sudden you're surprised how good some of these mid-major teams are and some of these other teams you don't see. And the difference between the men and the women, I mean, the men play a brutal Big East schedule. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't have to go outside to figure out how good they are, as opposed to the women who do have to go outside the Big East, because there's nobody in the Big East who can challenge them. So, yeah, UConn plays all these tough games, and when they hit the Big East, which is still where they want to be great, they're going to be ready to go. They're not going to see a team or two like the teams they played. Even St. John's has dropped down a little, losing them 3 games early in the year. So there's more and more of this playing bigger teams, more impressive teams. And, when you schedule these games up, you don't know how they're going to be ranked, but you know that they're blue blood programs and good programs, and they're going to challenge you, as opposed to some of these other games like tonight, a game that you play. And they played these guys last year, and I think they beat them by 30. So tougher games, no doubt about it, gets UConn ready for the Big East.
Joe Zone from Channel 3 joining us on the WILI Duncan Friday Sports Scene. Keith and Koivisto, Nick Erlinson here filling in for Jan. That's a great point there. It's a perfect barometer to see where your team's at. And you mentioned St. John's. They've Patino's going to be fired up to play the Huskies, and with those 3 losses to some good opponents. The one game that comes to mind, I watched the Arkansas St. John's game, and it's good again to see, but it fires you up for the Big East schedule. And I mentioned this to somebody else recently. UConn St. John's is going to be so much fun this year, isn't it?
It's now the premier game for sure in the in the conference, especially with Patino running the show and the rivalry there, and the fact that do they want to play them at Madison Square Garden or do they want to play them on campus? Patino's finally acquiesced to that, but it's a showcase game. But again, the Big East, there's Providence. Don't overlook Providence. They're going to be good. Marquette's been good. Creighton is always good. These are games that you go on the road in the Big East, you have a good chance that you're going to lose no matter how good you are.
All right, let's switch gears and talk a little UConn women. I know big day at Gamble coming up on Sunday. Huskies welcoming DePaul. Sue Bird Day at Gamble Pavilion as they honor the great Sue Bird, and that should be a fun day in stores, huh?
Well, anytime they bring back one of these greats, the crowd just goes crazy, shows their appreciation, and there are so many of them that unfortunately it's not that unique. I mean, these UConn women fans expect every year somebody great to have their number retired, or to be their number brought up on the rafters or whatever. There's just so many great players, and the fact that they're going to honor Sue Bird this way, it's going to be a good start to start off UConn's Big East home schedule. And again, looking around the Big East, I don't see any way anybody's going to play with this team, which unbelievably, in my opinion, is better than last year's team without Paige Beckers. I don't know how you can say that. You can say it. I'm saying it mainly because I think Sarah Strong is so much better. The bench is better. AZ is better. So you lose a great player like Paige, but the depth of this team is phenomenal. This team is so good. I love watching them play.
Yeah, I think the big question is, forget anybody. Could anybody beat UConn? No. Could anybody keep it within 20 points? Right? I mean, it's just like seriously. I mean, I can't think of, and there are some decent opponents in the Big East for the women, but I mean, can anybody keep it within 20 points? I mean, what do you think? That's fair, right?
I think it's a fair question. I think it's it's unfair pressure that the team feels all the time. Gino has said many times, you win here by 9 points, and people think it's a loss. But, again, talking about out-of-conference games, they've got some good ones coming up. They're going to go out to USC. They've still got to play Notre Dame, who I wouldn't overlook, even though Notre Dame has struggled a little bit. They're going to play Tennessee, another good game there. So they've got some tough, and they need to have a schedule like that because, again, the Big East is not, from what I've seen so far, will not be much of a challenge. And so UConn needs to schedule in some of these games in between. Otherwise, it's just a 3-month run to March.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, with all due respect to Gino and his program, it's like, you're right. I look forward to a UConn, Tennessee, or even Ohio State or a USC. But at the same time, and I'm a biggest sports fan as you are, and my buddy Nick here to my right, and it's like it's almost like, get me to March, and then I'll follow. I'm following the women all year long and what they're doing, and it was amazing to see what AZ Fudd did in her March run last year. But it's pretty much going to be wake me up in March, I guess. Nick, do you have a question?
Last year when they played, UConn won 84-58. Do you see this game kind of going the same way with DePaul's reliance on their three-point shooting and their improved defense from last year?
Well, that's a good question. They lose their all-time great coach who retired, Doug Bruno, good friend of Gino's. And normally when a team loses a long-time coach, the skill level drops off a little bit. So I do not think this DePaul team will be as good as others who have been in here. So I think you should be looking at UConn. I think the storyline for UConn in most of these games is going to watch how the young players develop and play. This block of Quinones girl has been a riot to watch. Khalees Fisher, another freshman to watch. Heckel, the transfer from USC. We got a good feel for what UConn's stars, and believe me, they have 2 Players of the Year candidates, Strong and Fudd. My only concern will be that they may offset the votes for each other. People may want to vote for one and vote for the other. So what I would do, and what I'll be doing watching the UConn team, is to watch the development of these young players. Somebody who knows UConn basketball, women's basketball, as well as anybody, Bob Joyce, their play-by-play guy.
Well, we've had him on. Had him on a couple weeks ago, yeah.
And did he say the same thing to you, that he thinks Sarah
absolutely.
Strong will be the best player to ever play at UConn at some point? That's saying a lot.
Yep.
But he's seen them all. So if anybody could say it other than Gino, who won't say it, Bob Joyce is one who could say it.
Absolutely. Hey, before we let you go, I forgot to, let's go back to the men, because I wanted to get your thoughts on the Kansas game the other night. The Mullins and his breakout performance. Of course, Ryba was good. But Wayno reminded me this morning, I think the biggest story was the second half when UConn out-rebounded Kansas 25-10. How about a few thoughts on the big win at Kansas the other night?
Yeah, I was, again, we're talking, when I went on the air the next day, I focused on the performance of the freshmen, Ryba and Mullins, and how they stepped up in that atmosphere, in that crowd. If you saw the TV shot of Mullins at the free throw line with the game on the line, 9 seconds left, and he's looking into a sea of hostile, loud, noisy Kansas fans, and man, boom, makes the first one to put the game out of reach to make it 4, makes the second one make it 5. The way he played in that game, I always have this problem, we're calling kids stars when they come out of high school. They haven't done a thing, by the way, on the college level yet, but we call them stars. Well, I like to see them play a minute or two before I call them a star. Mm-hmm. Well, he had his minute or two, Mullins did, against Kansas the other night. That kid's going to be a star. He is cool, very impressed with him. And with Terrace Reed, we never know if this ankle injury is the same one, a different one, if it's going to be a problem all year. But the fact that Ryba can step in and play in his place the way he does, these freshmen are really, really good.
Yeah, great point. And Mullins just looks so composed. In fact, when he checked in the other night, I made a specific. I told myself I was going to watch Mullins. I was going to see it in his first shot from like downtown. He banks it in, and the expression on his face was priceless. So he's going to be fun to watch. I was joking around with Wayno earlier. I really hope, again, it's still early. You're exactly right. But we saw McNeely one and done. I really hope there's a chance that Mullins sticks around for at least another year.
I totally agree. The biggest, everybody talked about McNeely. Well, who got to know McNeely? The guy was in here and gone. You don't get to, it'd be nice to just have somebody. That's what's the best thing right now about the women's game is you watch them grow up in front of you. Yeah. You get to really root for them and be part of them, and they're part of your family and all. But here, these men guys come in, boom, one and done, and it's hard to get to know them.
Yeah, it's like every university in the D1 levels. It's like Coach K University. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. Calipari was the one and done. I know Duke had their share. A lot of other college programs, but Calipari was the one who was labeled the one and done guy there for a while. But anyway, Joe, we know you're busy. Thank you so much for a few minutes, and we'll definitely have you on one of these Fridays once again.
Okay, I'll see you out there, guys. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Joe Zone from Channel 3. Gonna give us a few thoughts on UConn men and women, and I forgot to mention, speaking of UConn men, congratulations to John Wood. John Wood is going to be checking out the UConn men 1 week from tonight against the Texas Longhorns at People's Bank Arena in Hartford, and just for listening to the Duncan Friday Sports Scene. So hopefully we'll get some more tickets. Maybe not every week, but we'll see what we can do from week to week here on 14 WILI 95.3 FM and the WILI Radio YouTube channel. Yes, you can watch the show. It's usually uploaded on Mondays, right, Matt? Yeah, usually Mondays. So be on the lookout. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to WILI Radio on YouTube. Subscribe, and you'll see all our wonderful talk shows here that air every weekday here on WILI, including the Duncan Friday Sports Scene. So we're getting ready to wrap things up in just a few minutes here. J. Matt Rupar's Homegrown will come your way at 4:05. We're going to do the Bach Lock in just a few until we close things out, but let's talk a little NFL because we're getting into Week 14. Well, kicked off last night with the Lions beating the Cowboys 44-30. Pretty entertaining game. My boy St. Brown played. Thank you. Got me 92 yards. Gibbs had 3 touchdowns. Hey, Daxon played his butt off. I'm not a Cowboys fan whatsoever. Obviously, I'm a Patriots fan, but Dallas has been. I knew Detroit would probably win that game because they look like crap on Thanksgiving. So I expected Detroit to win that game, bounce back against Dallas last night. Did you?
Yeah, I figured they were going to come out strong because they had to avenge their poor play from last week.
Yeah, so I mean, it's as we head into Week 14, hard to believe I'm saying Week 14, which kicked off last night. Patriots on the bye week, sitting pretty at 11-2, winners of 10 in a row. Drake May is now. This came out late Monday night. Towards the end of the Pats-Giants game, Drake May, according to ESPN, is a new favorite to win NFL MVP. I can't believe I'm saying that because, I expected some improvement this year. Now Drake May is leading the way as far as an NFL MVP candidate. This is nuts.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Scooby-Doo moment where they take his helmet off and it's Tom Brady underneath.
That's great. I love it. So, yeah, I mean, the kid's playing out of his mind, but he's consistent. He leads the NFL in passing, and he hasn't even had a 300-yard passing game. He's had 250-plus. He's been very consistent. And a big thanks to Josh McDaniels as well, who, Josh McDaniels, he's like the quarterback whisperer. Look what he'll never be a head coach. He'll never be a head coach.
No.
But what he's done with, obviously, Brady, and now, even with Mac Jones. Mac Jones' rookie year was pretty good. Let's not forget that. And then, look, he leaves Mac Jones, and Mac Jones will be a professional backup probably from now on. But although he had some pretty good games in San Francisco this year.
That's not a bad job, though. We get paid a lot of money to hold a clipboard. I'll take it.
Hey, Nick with all the one-liners here. Jeez. They'll just rely on you to – you're one-liner, man. You fill in for Koivisto for the next 3 months. So anyway, we got UConn and Texas, East Texas. I keep wanting to say Texas A&M. UConn and East Texas A&M at 7 o'clock tonight on WILI. And UConn women against DePaul, 12:30 Sunday on Sue Bird Day at Campbell. Again, 12:30 airtime on WILI. You got a pick for, let me to put you on the spot for Week 14 before we get to our Bach Lock and get ready to wrap things up. And any other Week 14 thoughts besides,
Well, I think Chicago is going to beat Green Bay in Lambeau this week.
Okay, so
That's
boy,
my
the
prediction.
Bears, Caleb Williams. Who would have thought the Chicago Bears would be the number 1 seed in the NFC right now? That's nuts. Patriots and the Bears.
Yeah, I was just talking about that earlier today. Yeah, but
That's the beauty of the NFL. You can't pick these games from week to week. You really can't. And as much as we talked about the Denver Broncos before the show. Last time they won the Super Bowl was in Santa Clara in 2015, Super Bowl 50. Peyton Manning. Although, look, I'm sorry, I'm not going to bash Peyton Manning here. Denver was led by that defense that year. Kind of like this year. Denver's got, all due respect to Bo Nix, who's playing almost as good as May. I'm sorry, I'm being a little biased, but I take May. It's close, but I take May over Nix. Nix has showed a lot, but I'm taking Drake May. He's a little more athletic, I think, than Nix. Nix has been incredible, though. But again, Denver's got a great defense, a great defense. Pat's defense is like 8th or 9th in the league. But wouldn't that be a fun? And let me tell you, if those two teams meet in the AFC Championship, you better pray it's in Foxborough because the Pats historically, even back in the Brady days, never play well in Denver. So I would love to see that in the AFC Championship game, Pats and Broncos.
yeah, that would be great. I would like to see that as well. Yeah, I mean, I just want a good football game. So
yeah, and speaking of Broncos, there's a John Elway documentary I think just dropped on Netflix. So yeah, maybe I'll start watching that. I'm a very slow binger, but okay. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you my pick of the week. I know Jan, we do Keith and Friends quick picks. Myself, Steve Smith, the Fenton River Grill, Jan Koivisto, the Chronicle. My pick this week. This is a tough one because the Houston Texans are on fire right now. Them and the Broncos, probably the best defenses in football. I mean, I think Houston's might be a little better than Denver. Texans have won 4 in a row. They're going into KC. Mahomes and company know they got to win out to get into the playoffs at this point.
Yeah.
Kansas City's favored by 3.5. So I'm taking the Chiefs minus 3.5 to beat the Texans 24-14. And Mahomes will throw a couple touchdowns. He'll run one in himself. So that's my, Kansas City. Look, Mahomes is one of the all-time greats. He's never going to get up to where Brady was. Sorry, it's a fact now. I mean, he's not going to win 7 Super Bowls unless. I mean, he's still. How's he? He's like early 30s now, right, Mahomes?
yeah, he can still do it. I think.
Yeah, he could, but Kansas City's got very average all of a sudden. But anyway, I'm taking Kansas City to on Sunday minus 3.5 to stop the Houston Texans 24-14. All right, let's hear the Bach Lock.
Okay, Eastern Connecticut, shake off the tryptophan. Hope the Christmas tree is up. Now let's go make some Christmas cash. For your Bach Lock this week, we look at college football. It's championship weekend. Titles are on the line from coast to coast. I've got my eye on 2 games. First in the SEC, Georgia and Alabama meet again. What is Kirby Smart's record as Georgia head coach against the Crimson Tide? 1 win, 7 losses. Well, guess what? Make it 8. Alabama wins on Saturday night. They're actually getting 3 points in this game, but they probably won't need it. Take the Tide plus 3. Next, we go out to the Mountain West, where for the 3rd straight season, Boise State and UNLV meet. Boise State has beaten UNLV 10 times in a row, including the last 2 Mountain West championships. It's going to be in Boise this weekend, folks. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be cold. That's not good for the boys in the desert. Boise is only giving 4. They're going to win this by 14. So there you go, folks. Bach Lock for the week. Alabama plus 3. Boise State minus 4. Get rich and go buy some nice Christmas presents.
All right, there's my cousin Andy Bach. He's got to get back on track, so he's taking it to college. A couple college picks there, and he also reminded me, it's championship weekend around college football. One game I cannot wait for Saturday night is Indiana, Ohio State. Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback of Indiana, leading the Heisman race, I think, so far. I can't wait for that game. Are you looking forward to any college games, or that's not your cup of tea?
Yeah, I watch a little bit. I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I always look forward to seeing them play. And
of course, we'll find out Sunday where UConn's going bowling. I think that'll do it. Big thanks to our local Dunkin' stores. Thank you to Nick Erlinson, J. Matt Rupar, and he's coming up next with Homegrown. And that'll do it for the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.